Get my notes together. Okay, it's about 7, about works around here. Call to order. Welcome to everyone here. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Yoda, Denise Feldman.
All right. Please place your right hand over your heart. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May the force be with you.
Yes.
That was good.
We need it, I'll tell you that. We need a lot of force. Okay, so we're to item 6, which is the annual reorganization of the disorganization of us. So I will make a motion and ask for a second to nominate Terry Reagans for president of the board.
Oh, okay. Second?
It's okay, you're not president yet.
My second.
Okay, good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Mr. Lee will make a motion and ask for a second to nominate Betty Lou for vice president of the board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Lee will make a motion and ask for a second to nominate James Hahn as clerk of the board.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Lee will make a motion and ask for a second that the board appoint the superintendent to serve as secretary of the board for the same period.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good. We're going to take a small recess, and that person back there is going to take a picture of us real fast, and then we'll change chairs. Short yes.
Dr. Manning.
Have you called it back into session,
I'm
Ms.
calling it
Reagans?
back into session right now, and I see Dr. Manning. I
Thank-
recognize you, sir.
Thank you, Mrs. Reagans. Mr. Lee, to memorialize your year as President of the Board of Education, I'd like to present you with a gavel to place in your house in a,
An appropriate place.
well, I was thinking your office, but that's okay. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Thank you. We took away Mrs. Reagan's gavel. There's no more gavel up there.
Oh, man. Oh, no, there is one. I see it.
Oh, no. Take it
We're
away.
back in session.
Where's the picture? There's a picture with you. Oh, man.
No picture?
The gavel.
Okay, so we have begun our reorganization. Now we need to move on to the appointment, oops, nope, that's not, oh shucks, the computer's turning out. Is the adoption of the agenda for the evening. Can I get a motion and a
So
second?
moved.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
That motion carries. So we are working on the agenda that has been posted. There is no report from closed session, but we will begin with staff presentation and information, which is why many of these wonderful people are here tonight. And we will start with the Torrance Education Foundation. The Executive Director, come on up.
Thank you. So I would like to report on the Sketchers update for the Torrance Education Foundation. We don't have exact numbers yet from Sketchers. We will have them after the new year. So right now it's all approximate. We do have an approximate of 2,000.
Oh, it was on.
297
Walkers. There we go.
Sorry.
Hello.
Sorry, now you're on, sorry.
Should I
Okay,
start
you want to
over?
start again?
This is a update for the Skechers walk that we had in the fall. We have an approximate of 2,897 walkers, and we are estimated to give over $90,000 to the schools. So thank you for everyone who helped participate in that amazing event. We hosted a STEM Initiative grants reception last week at Torrance High School, and we were able to award 52 projects and for a total of $42,575 in STEM grants to our Torrance schools. That was amazing. And I am giving an update on some upcoming events that we have. We do have our annual car raffle kickoff, which is happening this Wednesday, where the ambassadors from each school will come and get their packages so that they can distribute them to the students before the students go out on their winter vacation. So we are excited to do that. This year, tickets will be sold for $40, and 50% of the proceeds, so $20, will go back to each designated school. And we will announce the winner of the raffle at our annual event on March 26th at Robinson Helicopter. We are also hosting a South Bay Lakers event at the end of January. It'll be on January 25th, which is a Saturday, at the UCLA Health Training Facility in El Segundo. This is an event where G League players will play in a game, and then we will have a 1-hour session after the game where the students and their families can have an hour of shooting around on the court. They'll be able to take photos with the players, get signed autographs, and also have an opportunity to get photos with the Laker championship trophies. Tickets will go on sale for $35 for an early bird, and then $45 for regular ticket price. And Tammy will be sending something out this week. I just have to get the flyer to her as soon as possible. And then our other event, like I mentioned, is our annual fundraising event, and that is in March, on March 26th at Robinson Helicopter, and we hope that everyone can join us. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. We will go on to hear from Denise Spellman, AKA Yoda, will tell us about Torrance Council of PTAs.
All right. 'Tis the season to be given, fa la 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 la. So just letting you know, we're kicking off the holiday season, and we're happy to say that Journey of Faith has worked with Torrance, our Torrance Council PTA's Project Hope, and donated 55 Thanksgiving boxes. So that's really great. Also, at our holiday luncheon, we collected over $1,400 in gift cards to donate to our families to help them in needs during the holiday season. And also, we received diapers, baby wipes, personal hygiene, shampoo, hairbrushes, and all that stuff from wonderful collection of donations from everybody, even businesses, local businesses. Tomorrow, we will be delivering some more Christmas food boxes to the Triangle, so we'll be dropping those off tomorrow. And like I said, we continue collecting donations, so it doesn't mean that we stop collecting. We collect throughout the whole year, so if you have anybody that wants to donate, have them contact me. Also check our TCPTA website again for any additional information. My contact information is there, so if you want to donate, please let me know. And finally, mark your calendars for College and Career Fair. It's coming up on February 22nd in 2020. Hard to believe we're going into a new year. And that will be at North High. So again, check our website for any additional information as for times and what kind of colleges and, who's going to be there. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, well,
Merry
thank
Christmas.
you.
Merry Christmas to everybody, too.
And Silent Night to you.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Now we will move on to the report by our student representative, Jordan Yee. Dr. Egan? Dr. Egan, that's you. Would you like to introduce our student rep?
I would. I'd like to introduce Jordan Yee, who's here to represent South High School. Jordan, why don't you tell us what's going on at the schools in South High?
Can I just say that Dr. Egan sounded really nice? Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening. So at West High School, a lot of different things have been going on for the holiday season. So we had school-wide the Winter Sports Rally, which is our annual rally where we recognize the winter sports. So we have various performances and games, and of course our special visit from Santa, who we had the senior cabinet member actually dressed up this year. And which is good because I had to do it my freshman year. We also had our annual Powder Puff game where we featured the girls playing a friendly game of flag football, complete with commentators as well as what we call man leaders, which are the boys being dressed up in cheerleading costumes. And I had to be thrown in the air for that one.
Do we have photographs?
We do, but I don't think you want to see those. It was a struggle already. We also had our Spirit Week, where we had various dress-up days for everyone, and of course, everyone loves to do those. And because it's also the holiday season, we had a lot of giving things, and we had drives. We had our boys basketball is currently holding a toy drive in collaboration with the Torrance Police Department and Fire Department. National Honor Society held their canned food drive, which collected over 200 cans for Salvation Army. American Red Cross had their Veterans Drive, which collected various items such as toiletry, clothing, etc. And also, currently, the West High Entertainment Unit is still doing their tree sale in their parking lot until they're able to get rid of all of their trees. Also, school-wide, we had our shelter-in-place drill, and we had the seniors visit El Camino Community College on a trip for a full day. With athletics and extracurriculars, our play production held their annual fall musical, which was Avenue Q this year, which was a discussion of societal issues with the use of puppets. And it had a lot of comedy, and it actually went down really well with the audience, and it had a really good turnout for the 2 weeks they held it. And immediately after, they actually ran a junior theater camp for 2 weeks, where they reached out to kids from kindergarten through 8th grade, and they coached the kids, and at the end of the program, they ran a Willy Wonka production. Along with this, choir and aristocracy had multiple performances, one being at the Banding Museum, and one a couple days ago, which was their winter choral concert. In the Future Business Leaders of America actually had something cool this year, and they hosted Japanese exchange students for a couple days. And I think we had 10 to 15 students come, and they were shadowing students at West, and they would go through the classes, and they were able to meet everyone. And it was really neat to see a different culture. And with the winter season coming, it's a conclusion of cross country, and the boys ended up playing 10th place in Division II state championships, and they were led by Joshua Murray, who ended up placing 21st. And now basketball season and soccer season is starting. With this Wednesday, they open up their season against Torrance. And I believe that is all from West High.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's okay.
Thank you. That was very complete. Appreciate that information from you. Happy holidays to you, too, and tell everyone at West that we hope it goes well for them. And if you need a tree, they do have trees. I went by the other night. There's a bunch of them there still. Okay, moving on to good news student presentations. Let's start with Dr. Kim.
Thank you, President Reagans. It's my pleasure to introduce one of our student leaders from Fern Elementary School, Bailey Millette. Will you please come on up to the mic? Let's give her a round of applause, everybody. Also joining us tonight is the proud principal of Fern Elementary School, Dr. Michael Remond.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Bailey Mollett, and I will be talking about Care Crew. Care Crew is a program here at Fern. We help people build stronger friendships and walk people to class if they are late. Specifically, Mix It Up Day. You will get put in a different table from all your friends to meet someone new, so you don't always be with your best friends. One of our activities here at Fern is Pennies for Patients. We do this because we help kids fight cancer to live a long and healthy life. So we collect pennies to donate to the Children's Hospital. Care Crew is important to me because you make your teacher's job easier so they do not have to carry everything. Well, not just Care Crew, everyone should do that. My favorite part of Care Crew is seeing kids have a smile on their face if they are crying or hurt. So this made me think, don't leave anyone out, even if they are not your friend. Thank you for listening.
Nice, thank you. Thank you. Very nice. Care Crew. Nice alliteration there. Okay, and our second one, back to Dr. Egan.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Alexandra Corzon, representing Madrona Middle School. Come on up and share some good news about Madrona. Also, we have Principal Jeff Nielsen here from Madrona as well.
Yay. Why not?
Hello, my name is Alexandra Corzone, and I came here tonight to inform you all about the recent events that are happening around the Madrona Middle School campus. Just recently, our Madrona ASB class attended the yearly Senior Citizen Lunch, which was hosted on December 6th. The lunch is provided at the Recreational Center, and our ASB class came to help out by serving lunch as well as providing entertainment for the seniors. Within a week, ASB was able to amass 200 decorations for the center. ASB was also able to decorate the whole room within 45 minutes, proving our efficiency and hospitality. As the lunch went on, we later provided the seniors lunch as well as singing Feliz Navidad. In the end, we not only provided lunch and entertainment for the seniors of our community, but we also gave them a memorable and joyful experience that they will cherish forever. Another center that the ASB class was able to volunteer at was the Family Crisis Center. Just recently, on December 11th, we were able to attend the Family Crisis Center, which is an organization that helps low-income families that are in need of assistance. Every year, during the holiday season, the center receives numerous donations for the families that the Crisis Center helps. The ASB class's organization and creativity turns the Crisis Center into a variety of specialized gift shop. We create the decorations/themes for each room and organize all of the donations for the clients of the Crisis Center so that they can shop for their loved ones. Moving on to the other electives, our choir and band class recently had their holiday concert, in which friends and family were able to attend and watch them sing and play instruments of songs that they practiced long and hard hours for. The drama class as well just had their yearly pantomime performance where the students came out to show off how well they could act without words. The Science Olympia class had tryouts for their competition team, leading to the team being successfully made. They are now preparing for their first competition, which will be placed on January 18th, 2020. Moving on, we just had our volleyball tryouts and successfully made teams for both the boys and girls. The game will be hosted in about 4 months. For the club activities that are going on right now, Madrona's Ultimate Frisbee Club just had tryouts for their competitive team and which was successfully made. Students have practiced every Thursday during tutorial. Even if not part of the team, students can come and still sign up for the tutorial class and experience how the Frisbee Club goes. The Ultimate Competitive Frisbee team will be attending their first tournament, which will be happening on January 4th. Next, we have our Wildcat Justice Club, in which Madrona students and our school counselor get together to help cases of conflict, bullying, and rumors. So if a student is having trouble, all they have to do is visit the club during the club hours and explain to them the problems that are happening around the campus. Next up, our GATE students got to go on their yearly trip. This year, they got to experience the See-Me Camp located on Catalina Island. While they were there, they got to experience fun activities such as snorkeling, as well as hiking and exploring the island. Lastly, our Madrona Gym is almost done with its construction, and hopefully the 8th graders are able to experience the brand new gym before their transition from Madrona Middle School into high school. Thank you for having me here tonight, and I hope everyone has a good night and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say I'm glad you highlighted some of the community involvement on the part of the students, because I've been proud to see at every school, especially this time of year, all of our schools doing amazing community involvement and charitable giving, and that's wonderful. And you mentioned that at your school too. So thank you, students, for taking the initiative to do that and following through to help our less fortunate folks in our community. Okay, so onward and upward. We're going on to CSEA Chapter 19 Initial Proposal for 2019-20. And I have a little bit here that I need to read for y'all. The CSEA Chapter 19 Initial Proposal for 2019-20 will be submitted at the regular meeting of the Board of Education held on December 16th, 2019. PERB rules require that no formal response or discussion be held at this time. It is, as you are aware, state law provides that we hold a hearing for public input regarding the CSEA Chapter 19 initial proposal for 2019-20. Copies of the proposal will be available to the public in all city libraries and in the Human Resources Department. Time for public comment on the contract proposal will be provided at the January 21st, 2020 Board of Education meeting. Wow, 2020 already. Whew. Okay. So, now we're down to Torrance Unified School District, Palos Verdes Peninsula Unified School District Territory. Oh, did I skip somebody? Oh, I did. I'm sorry. Sorry. Yes, you're right. It's right here. 10.6. I think Tim's going to speak to the next item. That's why he's over there. Dr. Stowe. You didn't want to speak to 10.5 or 10.6, right? Okay. What's that? Oh, should we now? Okay.
Unless you want to know more about Palos Verdes finances.
Well, no. We can allow those of you who came for our wonderful presentations to go on home and do your homework. I know you're in a hurry to do that. Or have dinner maybe, or something like that. Have a happy holiday. Thanks so much for coming this evening, including you, Yoda.
Thank you.
The principals can hang around to the end, just quiet, but, you know,
They have
it's their
homework
career.
too. They have homework too. Come on.
Take it off right
Oh, he's got a USC. I don't know. Okay, sorry. I forgot to make our response, the board's initial response on the Torrance Unified School District initial proposal to CSEA Chapter 19 for 2019-20. The Torrance Unified School District initial proposal to CSEA Chapter 19 for 2019-20 will be, will be submitted at the regular meeting of the Board of Education held on December 16th, 2019. PERB rules require that no formal response or discussion be held at this time. As you are aware, the state law provides that we hold a hearing for public input regarding the Torrance Unified School District's initial proposal to CSEA Chapter 19 for 2019-2020. There's too many 19s and 20s. Copies of the proposal will be available to the public in all city libraries and in the Human Resources Department. Time for public comment on the contract proposal will be provided at the January 21st, 2020 Board of Education meeting. Okay, now we are moving on to talk about a little bit of territory transfer information, and that will be Dr. Stowe.
Need a motion and a second, please.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, President Reagan's members of the board. As you know, we have a territory transfer in the works with the Palos Verdes School District, and so I want to give you a little background on where we are and how we got here and what is the future hold. So in 2016, I was contacted by the developer of the new Rolling Hills Country Club project, which is just south on Narbonne Avenue as you pass PCH and go up the hill. And they're redesigning the entire golf course and putting a brand new development of homes there.
The golf course is really nice.
And back in 2014, the developer of this project worked with the city of Torrance in a territory transfer. But what they didn't do at that time was move the boundaries for the school district. And so there are still 29 homes within that development that are in the Torrance Unified School District. And of the 113 homes in the development as a total, 29 of those homes belong to us. And so, well, they don't belong to us. They're $3 to $5 million apiece. But students that attend there would attend our schools. And so it was the desire of this developer as they sold these homes to be able to say everybody in this community can attend the same school district. And so we initiated negotiations, and Mr. Lee, Dr. Mannon, and I met with the representatives a number of times and brought to the board in 2018 a deal for $7 million that they would pay to the school district, $61,000, almost $62,000 per home sold times 113 homes in the development. And so how we arrived at that number was the 30-year lost revenue from average daily attendance for our projection of what we thought the number of students that would attend the school district each year for those 30 years following development. And so here's a status report of where we are at that time, as of the printing of this agenda. I'm happy to report I received another check on Friday, and so there are now 27 of the 113 lots that have been sold for a total of $1.6 million, roughly, closer to 1.7 now.
That's not enough to buy one of the houses up there.
Which is not enough to buy one of the houses. They do estimate that all of these homes will sell within the next 2 to 5 years. But again, with only a handful of them developed so far, and the economy, we'll see how long it takes. So we also receive, in addition to the $62,000 per lot, we receive developer fees for the 29 lots that are within the boundaries of the TUSD. And so each of those roughly are about $15,000 a piece. And so when we get those are going to a very defined program in which we have to spend it in accordance with state rules. And whereas the other funds that we're receiving up to the $7 million are one-time funds. And so our direction was from the board in that summer of 2018 was hold the funds until at such time the board would direct us to spend. And so, like I said, right now we have almost $1.7 million. We're expecting over the next few years to collect up to $7 million of revenue that we will have in that one-time pot of funds. So the process following negotiations and approval by the board, it then kicked off a process with the Los Angeles County Committee on School District Organization. Former TUSD board member Heidi Ashcraft sits on that committee and represents the South Bay. And we had 2 public hearings, one here and one up at Palos Verdes back in October. And my counterpart in Palos Verdes and I did the presentation about this. And we are both in concurrence and supportive of the project. I felt the committee members that were here that night and at each of the meetings felt the same way. There were no members of the public speaking in opposition of that, and so that's a good sign that we are on the right path. What the county committee then does is they take the information that we presented to them, and they will conduct their own CEQA process themselves. And so their independent analysis and research through the California Environmental Quality Act will then result in them putting a recommendation before the entire committee, and upon transfer of, and we don't see any obstacles in the way that we can anticipate, and upon approval of that and sale of all the homes, then the property transfer will be requested to officially have those lots in the Palos Verdes School District. At the present time, we did establish a MOU where any students that live there, we would release them to attend attend that school district, and that was an agreement that was approved by both entities. And here's just a boundary map. It's not, it's about as blown up as we could get. You can see that the boundaries just on the upper left corner are the 29 homes that lie within the Torrance Unified School District. That other little area right at the center of the top, those are 5 homes within the Los Angeles Unified School District. And so they are working unsuccessfully so far to have such a collaborative relationship with LAUSD that they had with us. And so with that, I just wanted to, again, take any questions you may have of the update with the property transfer.
Is there any time frame as to when we would know about the transfer recommendation?
Maybe by the end of 2020, they'll have conducted their process. They were supposed to have a meeting in December that got canceled. So it kind of depends on how many members of the committee are available to be at the meetings.
Okay. Anybody else? I don't see any lights. Okay. In that case, it's been moved and seconded that we, we don't need a motion? Oh, okay. Okay. Then we'll move on to a public hearing on the Torrance Unified School District statutory school facility fees, including alternative school facility fees, reportable fees, report for fiscal year 2018-19 in compliance with Government Code 66006 and 66001. This is a duly noticed public hearing of the Board of Education of Torrance Unified School District to adopt a resolution for reportable fees and a reportable fees report for the fiscal year 2018-19 in compliance with Government Code 66006 and 66001. Have any written comments been received from any person as to the reportable fees report since December 6th, 2019? Board Clerk?
Dr. Stubb.
No.
I had a feeling that was going to be the answer. Is there anyone present who wishes to comment on the increase of statutory school fees or the increase of statutory school fees resolution presented for adoption in tonight's agenda? If so, please state your name prior to making your comments and come forward. Okay, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and announce that the board will be considering the resolution accepting this report in the discussion action item that is pending. Okay, moving on to oral communications. I do have one card. I will go ahead and read the instructions first, just to make everything kosher here. The Board of Education welcomes input from the public in order to discuss district business in an orderly manner for the privacy and safety of the speakers and to help staff respond more directly. Board policies require that public presentations to the board comply with certain procedures, including speakers to non-agenda items may address only items that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Time allotted for such presentation is limited to 3 minutes. Total allotted time for public input on non-agenda items is limited to 30 minutes. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another. When addressing the board, speakers are requested to state their name, address the president from the podium, and adhere to the applicable time limits. Complaints against employees or students will normally be heard in closed session, and the district's complaint procedure should be followed before discussion with the board. The board may remove disruptive individuals and order the room cleared if necessary. Any person who willfully disturbs any public school meeting is guilty of a misdemeanor, according to Ed Code 32210. The individual I have a card for is Mr. James Henry, and I see him there in the audience. Come on forward.
School Board President, school board members, and distinguished guests. James Henry, North Torrance High School grad, class of 1969. Go Saxons.
Yay! Saxon strong.
On Saturday, November 9, 2019, I attended my 50th North High School reunion at the Embassy Inn at El Segundo, California.
That's pretty cool.
I went there with great apprehension, not knowing what to expect, how many of my classmates will actually show up, and what it would be like to see people I haven't seen for a long time. These high school reunions can be quite intimidating since you are comparing yourself to other people you graduated from school with. It can either be ego-inflating or ego-deflating, depending upon how successful you are at the time. Most frequently asked questions are you working? What kind of work do you do? If you are unemployed, it is doubtful you will attend your high school reunion.
Good point.
With this anticipation in mind, I was pleasantly surprised at how many of my classmates showed up. I estimate at least 150 of us made it there. Not only that, but I even remembered some of the faces I graduated with. On our name tag, we had a high school senior picture.
Ooh.
Those are frightening.
Some of us didn't resemble our picture. Some of us, like me, haven't changed much. I had a blast. Instead of being compared, it was a celebration of life. For those of us who were fortunate enough to make it there, we survived. Tragically, some of us didn't make it. Some of us died fighting in the war in Vietnam. Some of us had circumstances that could not be controlled and didn't survive. As for myself, I won the award for living closest to the school. See my certificate.
Cool. Suitable for framing.
Yeah.
More importantly, I even got reunited with my 7th grade flame from Carr High School, Pam Johnson. Some people never forget their first kiss. I will never forget my first dance. When at our 7th grade dance, Pam Johnson, one of the best looking girls in school, actually came up to me and asked me if I wanted to dance. I was stoked. The next day, all of my male classmates were jealous of me, and I was on cloud 9. Enough of my love life. Back in the day, elementary school went all the way up to the 8th grade. Then you graduated and attended high school for 4 years. Being reunited again with my classmates from Carr Elementary was especially rewarding. These were my friends in the neighborhood that I played sports with and spent most of my innocent years of my life with. I want to sum up with, I would like to thank my teachers at Carr Elementary and North High School for helping me prepare for life. However, I want to thank my parents for making me a success in life. I wish all of you could have had the parents I had. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
Oh, nice. Before you leave, hang on, I have a question for you. So how many kids were in your graduating class? You said about 150 showed up.
Well,
Do you have any idea? Do you remember?
Probably in those days.
A lot. Most of them, didn't it?
No, there were probably 500 kids in a class.
Oh, that's right, that was during bigger
People were frisky in those days.
I'm not
yes.
prepared to answer that.
But that sounds like a wonderful experience for you to have had. Thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
That's very nice. Happy holidays. Thank you. Anyone else wants to speak up here? Okay. Then we will move on to our discussion action items. There are instructions again to the public for anyone who's interested in speaking. Speakers wishing to address the board on agenda topics are permitted 3 minutes per topic. Total time granted for public input shall be limited to 30 minutes per topic. Board policies require that board presentations to the board comply with procedures, including items 2 through 4, as listed and read in the above oral communications. Our first order of business here is appointment of board representatives to district, community, and professional committees. We have 6 different committees and commitments that we need to put board members to task to do for us. The first of those is SoCal Rock. I have previously been the representative to SoCal Rock and have enjoyed that time. However, there's another board member who's interested in pursuing that position.
Bless you.
So I would like to put James Hahn up for that position if that pleases him. Is that okay with you? Okay. Let's go ahead and go through all of them, and then we'll vote at the end, if that's okay. Is that all right with y'all?
Yes.
For the joint meeting of the City Council School Board, anybody want to speak up for that?
I would like to recommend Betty Lou and James Hahn.
Okay, so that's all right with you folks? Wonderful. All right, and then for LACSTA, which is the next one, which actually stands for LA County School Trustees Association.
Glad you said that. I was always curious after 12 years. But I'll be on that committee again.
Oh, you want to try that, Mr. Lee? Will you be attending their meetings? They're often on Mondays, but...
Let's hope.
But I should warn you, actually, Dr. Mannon and I have made the trek across the city a number of times. It's often at, is it Luminarias in Monterey Park at 5 o'clock in the evening. It's really a wonderful drive on the 710. But no, we're happy to have you be that representative if you'd like to
Don't talk
be.
him out of it.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll require the same effort I put forth last year.
Okay. All right, so we have Mr. Lee there. Is that okay with everybody? Anybody have, okay. The District Budget Committee has 2 board members. Anybody want to speak to that? Mr. Gerson, are you interested in continuing there?
I will continue.
Okay, and Mr. Lee, the Budget Committee,
Okay, good.
are you interested in that also?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay.
Okay, so you're off.
What's that?
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so Mr. Lee and Mr. Gerson for that. And then for the Torrance Education Foundation, that in general falls to the president of the board. And actually, I've been serving there and am happy to continue to do that, to have some continuity. So I'll put myself down for that. And then for the District Legislative Action Committee.
I'd like to stay on it.
Okay?
I think Betty Lou and, yeah.
Okay, so that's Betty Lou and Jeremy Gerson. So let me recap here, that we have James Hahn for SoCal Rock. We have for the joint meeting of the City Council and School Board, Betty Lou and James Hahn. We have for LACSTA, Mr. Lee. We have for the Budget Committee, Mr. Lee and Mr. Gerson. Torrance Education Foundation, myself, Terry Reagans. And then for District Legislative Action Committee, Betty Lou and Jeremy Gerson.
I'll make a motion to approve all that.
I second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, wonderful. That was quick and easy. All right, so next is the approval of the proposed board policies update for first reading, or we can waive first
I'll make a
reading.
motion to approve the policies and waive the second reading.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the board policies updates and waive second reading. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that motion carries. Next, we need to approve the positive certification of the first interim report for 2019-2020.
Make a motion.
And that's, motion? Second?
Second.
Okay, and Dr. Stowe is ready.
Thank you, Ms. Reagan's members of the board. Tonight, I am asking for you to approve a positive certification for the budget for the first interim. I've got some assumptions here, and I'll talk a little bit about what we're hearing out of Sacramento in the Legislative Analyst's Office. So these numbers are from the 1920 budget that was approved by the board and the state back in June. You can see the statutory cost of living adjustment at 3.26 for this year, 3.0 for 2021, and 2.8 for 21-22. One item to note there is the talk out of Sacramento and the LAO's annual fiscal report is that the COLA for 2021 is going to be reduced to 1.79% from 3. That also leaves on the table $2.1 billion is what they're estimating of uncommitted funds. And so we're really interested to see what the governor's going to do in the January budget proposal with that additional $2.1 million. As you know, the main driver is personal income tax for the state budget. And so by the LAO having this number at 1.79, it drastically affects our budget. But again, we don't know what that extra $2.1 billion that is supposedly in the state budget for the coming year is going to entail. And so more news will come as we find that out after the new year. But as you can see in this, we also are projecting our ADA to decline a couple hundred per year. We get from Decision Insight, we get numbers that range from very conservative to a little bit more moderate. And it's anybody's guess where in the middle those numbers lie. And so we for this year, we don't have our P1 attendance data yet. So we won't know that until the March 2nd interim presentation. And so what we do with ADA is we kind of use a historical, the last couple of years, where do we think we were going to be based on our projections, where do we actually end up, and then we use that and extrapolate that forward to be our best guess. And so Judy Chai, who's here tonight, and her staff, they work very hard to make sure that that we are not overly conservative, but yet not sliding too much toward the moderate side, so that we can budget appropriately and don't have to make drastic revisions one way or the other in the budget as we move forward into the spring. So this 3.0% COLA for next year would result in an additional $3.6 million, almost $3.7 million. But again, that number will be reduced if the LAO's outlook at 1.79 comes to fruition. Other assumptions we use are things that we know with regard to the STRS and PERS rates. As you can see, the increase that we're estimating for the 2021 budget year is $2.3 million, and that's just in the increased contribution to STRS and PERS. And if the governor's budget stays at that 1.79% COLA, that only means an additional $1.2 million in revenue. Well, we've got 2.3 in STRS and PERS, but yet the total revenue increase on the base side would be 1.2 million. So we would be underwater already if that 1.79 COLA holds. But as you know, last year the governor applied additional money outside of the Prop 98 allocation to buy down pensions for the current year. And so again, it's anybody's guess right now what the governor's office in Sacramento is going to do. And then do we have negotiation settlements with any of our associations for the current or future years? And then answer is no, and we continue to meet with them as we have a sunshine proposal tonight for CSEA 19, and we are in negotiations with CSEA Chapter 845. We've yet to have sunshine proposals for the Torrance Teachers Association or SEIU Local 99 for the current year. In the multi-year projection, you can see that we continue to have deficit spending, yet we still, in the third year, have a positive certification, and I will show you that in 2 slides. Our multi-year projection continues with ending fund balance in the 21-22 year with $18 million in reserve. And as you are well aware, and we say it over and over again, that we are required by the county and by the state to have in order to have positive certification, we need to have a 3% reserve in the third year. So this current year being year 1, 2021 year 2, 21-22 year 3. And so that is where we need to be at 3% or greater reserve in that third year, which is why you'll see we carry a little bit of a surplus, or a little bit higher than that in the first 2 years, because once we get to year 3, it's down to 3%. Components of the ending fund balance, that 18 million, we also we have some money that we've committed for things. So we've got committed monies for student achievement, teacher credentialing, textbooks, still some leftover Common Core implementation. That was some one-time funds that we received from the state. We've got 2.2 million in there. And then we also have targeted student under LCFF. This is the supplemental funding category. We have what we're estimating about $4.7 to $5 million in committed funds for our supplemental programs. And here's where you see the ending fund balance and what that means with regard for the reserve for economic uncertainty. In 21-22, we are at $10 million, which is 3.8%. So $2 million above the required 3% reserve, which is why tonight we're requesting a positive certification. So after that happens, we submit this to the county for their review. We continue negotiations with the associations and look forward to the governor's budget proposal in January and coming back with another positive certification in our March meeting. With that, I'll take any questions.
Okay, let's see, Mr. Lee, did you have a question?
Regarding the STRS rates, so there was always going to be that little, and then it kind of came back, you know, is that the last year of the projected increases, 21-22? Or is it 22-23 for the last year of the STRS increase?
Yeah, I think after 21-22 year, the rate stays at 18.1%.
Okay, now they did approve it to go as high as 20, right? But they haven't pulled that trigger yet, correct?
Well, we don't know what will happen, but as of now, we know the rate is going to stay at 18.1%.
But
but yes, they can go up to 20%.
They can go up to 20, and
the
then
reason that it dropped from the previous projections because the state is putting more money into STRS, and they call this STRS on behalf of the district. So that is happening. That
on the
is
actuaries.
Yep, they're helping us pay it
the
off.
rate go down in the third
So-
or the fourth year.
Yeah, more early money makes later numbers come down. I fully understand. On the PERS rates, those seem to be a little more out of control, and we don't control those as much, right? Because we're in the same pool as every district. We're not like a city where we have our own actuarial rates. We have the same actuarial rate for all of the districts in California, correct?
Yeah.
And that's projected, there's no end to that increase, correct?
That's,
26% or
yeah.
correct.
Yeah, no, I mean, it just is what it is.
We're looking sadly at each other.
So, you know, for the most part, yeah, that one, you know, is looking kind of ugly long-term, but at least we're not on Torrance Boulevard, so that's good. But, yeah, that one's a little tough. Okay, well, good. Well, thank you very much for that. Another thing, and I don't know if Judy's in charge of this or Dr. Stowe, is I really, really, really like the new PowerPoint presentation. It is much easier to read, and I think it looks a lot more professional. And I'm I'm really pleased with how it looks, especially Mrs. Reagan sitting in the middle of that picture, but that's okay.
Thank you.
That's distinguished
This
schools.
is kind of the first draft, and thank you, Mr. Lee. Was hoping to get some feedback from you of the work with Clifford Moss. This is just something that they put together for us to kind of as a draft, a trial run tonight. I figured it would be a nice time to have that. Thank you.
I did notice it because we've talked about colors, and the colors could be bumped up a little on some of these. So when we think about changing our colors for the school district, think about how it's going to look in this kind of situation too. Okay? Any other questions, comments? Anybody? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the positive certification of the first interim report for 2019-2020. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next is approval to terminate, ooh, that's such a final word, to terminate the joint use agreement between the City of Torrance and the Torrance Unified School District, and that's Dr. Stowe once again.
I second.
Thank you. So in 2013, Dr. Stabler and I had met with the city on a number of occasions and developed a joint use agreement that we then brought to the board for approval. We had been meeting quite a bit of time prior to that. I know Mr. Lee and the mayor at the time, Frank Scotto, had talked about not trading checks. And there were a number of city facilities that the district was using, namely the Plunge and the Armstrong Theater. And the city was using a lot of our facilities, mainly the gyms and occasionally tracks or a classroom. Since then, obviously, we've built all of our facilities. And so with the opening of the Aquatic Center, we no longer needed students to go swim at the Plunge. With the opening of 3 additional and the renovation of 1 auditorium, we no longer have schools using the Armstrong Theater. And so there's an imbalance. And the joint use agreement that was originally approved and worked on by the joint meeting of the Citizen and Development Enrichment Committee with the city has met once this year and talked about gathering some data and looking at this, knowing that the terms of the joint use agreement, one party with 180 days notice could cancel the agreement. Now, what we're asking for tonight is that agreement to be terminated and us to give the city notice, but I'll continue to work with the city. We're going to schedule with the 2 board members a new meeting with the city committee coming up in either late January or early February. I will get your calendars to see when you're available and communicate that to the city. But the city still needs our gyms, and so currently the way it'll stand is this would terminate the agreement effective July 1 of 2020. So the city youth basketball program will operate as is for this year. And maybe next year turns into a rental agreement, or who knows what the ultimate outcome will be. But with the imbalance of us not using their facilities, we're putting out a lot of money for our people, custodians and facility supervisors, for activities that the city are hosting, and we don't necessarily get that in return. And so I will continue to meet with representatives from City Council and staff in the Park and Rec Department this spring to continue to talk about this and bring it back to the Joint Committee for discussion and ultimately a decision.
Okay, actually, we have lots of comments. I didn't see who, Mr. Gerson, let's start on the your end. No, we'll start on your end.
I was the last one to click in.
That's okay.
So as I said in a previous meeting, I know that we were approaching 2,000 hours of imbalance where the city is using more than we are. And now with all of our gyms coming online, it's going to be even greater than that. In the mutual use agreement as it currently stands, because we weren't supposed to be exchanging checks, but it was supposed to be a net zero agreement. Is the agreement that open that one of us gets to just continually use, or is there a point at which it stops getting, we stop giving, or is there a point at which checks do start getting written because it's no longer in balance? Could you please explain?
The agreement is what it is, and we're not going to bill the city for the time in January, February, March that they're going to need the gyms, nor if we have an event over there, are they going to bill us. And so this would still be in effect as it is, no checks exchanged until June 30th, at which point that if the city would need our facilities, we would charge them for staff time. So we don't, because of they're a nonprofit serving youth in the community, there's no use fee for the facility itself. They would just be paying for our staff time that we would need to open the buildings, clean the buildings, those kinds of things after the start of the new fiscal year.
One more question. Is it true that the city canceled the meeting that you were supposed to have over this agreement?
We were supposed to have a meeting last week, the joint committee, but there was a councilman, I believe, that was not available, and so the city reached out and canceled the meeting, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Liu.
Oh, I didn't have anything.
Oh, that wasn't you? Okay. Then, let's see, Mr. Lee.
Yeah, as somebody who was at the last meeting, the July 1st date, this isn't, we're not throwing down gauntlets, we're not doing anything. It was just actually discussed at that meeting that would be an appropriate time for the meeting, for the agreement to end if it was going to end, because that's the end of both of our fiscal years. So it's actually June 30th to be precise. I personally think that this will get sorted out one way or another. It typically does. Not as smoothly as sometimes I'd like to have it smoothed out, but it'll be okay. But I think what we should do, maybe, is we've got a lot of hours over there, so if we've got, anybody wants to have a pool party, or maybe we have a board pool party, that would be good. Or we want to have a dance, or we want to have an event, maybe a big event in one of their facilities sometime in June, I don't know. But, anything that we would want to have, we should probably tell our site leaders that stuff's available, and if they have stuff they want to do, then do it. I mean, quite honestly, it'd probably be cheaper for somebody to have something at the Armstrong this year than to use one of our new facilities, wouldn't it?
That would be correct.
So maybe we need to manage this process to maybe balance it out for the next year or so.
Right.
Just a thought.
And some of the time, we have yielded to the PTAs and the Achievement Adventures in Art group that have their meetings over there under the agreement with, as hours that we don't use as a school district at the Ken Miller Center and the Toyota Meeting Hall. So they've been able to take advantage of some of that time that has gone unused.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Anyone else? That's it? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve to terminate the joint use agreement between City of Torrance and Torrance Unified School District. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have to approve an emergency resolution, AS 07-19/20, authorizing AQMD Procedure 5 for Cali Mayor Middle School asbestos removal project. Motion a second, please.
So moved.
Okay, and that's Dr. Stowe. That's why he's still there.
Thank you again. This is in relation to the Cali Mayor gym project that construction has been stopped there since late summer because of some asbestos-containing material that was broken in excavation for the gym. And so we've been working with the AQMD in order to complete the Procedure 5, which basically is the cleanup of this. We have a contract with the company, but this the way AQMD requires this work to be done requires more staff time. So instead of using machinery to clean up the broken pipe, they're requiring us to, or the contractor, to do this by hand. And so the amount of the change order that we would issue on that contract exceeds the 10% allowable by law. And so that's why we bring this to you as a emergency resolution, because the contractor's there, they're ready to do the work, but the amount that they bid on the project at the time when this was approved back in October was to remove the asbestos-containing material mechanically, and that's not going to be okay but with the AQMD. And so we want to, our number one goal is safety always. We've been working with AQMD, with Balfour Beatty, the contractor that caused the damage, and then the contractor that is ready to be there to do the work. We just need this to be approved as an emergency resolution because, again, it exceeds the 10% change order that is allowable under the law.
Any questions, anyone? One of those unfortunate situations, but we have to deal with it.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the emergency resolution AS 07-19/20. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And last but not least, approved to adopt resolution number AS-06-19/20 of the Board of Education of the Torrance Unified School District relating to information made available to the public in the form of a statutory school facilities fees, including alternative school facility fees, reportable fees report for fiscal year 2018-19, the reportable fees report, and findings thereon in compliance with Government Code 66006 and 66001. That may sound familiar from earlier in the agenda, and that's Dr. Stowe.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Reynolds.
Oh, yes, motions.
So moved.
So this, you held the public hearing earlier. This is a standard item that we have on the agenda each year to be able to collect and report on the statutory facility fees. And these are like the developer fees that we receive when someone remodels their house or builds something, or as I referenced earlier in the Rolling Hills Country Club Development Project, on each of those homes we collect $3 and some change per square foot, and this just allows us to do that under the law.
Okay, Mr. Lee?
And this is really a big chunk of our maintenance budget, what we take out of this, or do we use this for mostly capital?
No, you know, this is, it's actually a little bit difficult to spend because of the requirements and the state audit. And so we do have a healthy balance in this account that we bring forward. We use it for some of our planning department because it does relate to growth and modifications that we need to make based on student needs at the schools.
Yeah, Mr. Lee, this was what we used to use when you were coming first on the board, when we paid for relocatables and that was the main expenditure out of these funds.
So what give us some ideas of what we can spend this for.
It's really related to growth. And so
that's kind of a challenge right now.
Well, it is at some schools and others not so much, but that's you need to have documented growth at a particular school.
So we have a school site with increasing enrollment as opposed to the district as a whole, then you could spend it at that school site.
Correct.
For classrooms or anything?
It would be anything that is needed because of the growth of those schools.
So it could be sports facilities if they got increasing?
Yeah, I would focus on instructional facilities.
Good try, though.
Okay, I tried. I figured I'd ask. So
that might be more of the one-time money.
So that would be more money spent on new classrooms or rehabilitations of classrooms or things like that.
Or relocatables.
So it sounds like it's relocatables or nothing?
Or planning.
Or planning for relocatables.
Wow, that's really
Okay, good.
Very restrictive.
Yikes.
No, let's talk to somebody about that. Okay, good.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And that brings us to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve all consent items, items 15 through 21.
Did anybody want to pull any individual items to discuss separately? No, okay. So we have a motion and a second. James did second. Then we'll go ahead and consider all of the consent agenda from 15 through 19, 21, sorry. All the way through 21. All those.
Motion to adjourn if you have.
No, we have some reports yet.
I've done that.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, motion carried. That took care of the consent agenda. The next section is the information section. Board calendar does have some new things there to check out and look at events happening in the district. And then the revisions to the administrative regulations that go along with the board policy updates that we've done. We do have some comments from members of the board that need to be made, and I'll make my last and final report for SoCal Rock. This will be your privilege from here on out. But I did want to talk about the student voices. They always have students come from some program and talk about their experiences at SoCal Rock. And the student that came this time was a Miracosta student who didn't know what he wanted to do as a career. So he decided to take a few SoCal Rock courses and see what he could experience. So he started with medical assisting, which is kind of interesting, and then went on to medical front office and developed some basic information, and has decided he really likes that perspective in terms of working probably in a medical field, and is thinking about becoming a nurse now because of the sort of beginning experiences that he had at SoCal Rock. So that is what it can do for our students, to have the opportunity to look at different things than you might otherwise have the opportunity to see. And I wanted to say, too, that the Pharmacy Tech Health Unit Coordinator is developing an EKG observation unit with Torrance Memorial. So they're always improving and increasing the sort of the acumen of the students and the classwork that they're providing, and never satisfied with the status quo, even though their future is perhaps uncertain. They're still moving forward.
All of ours.
Yeah, well, that's how it goes, I guess. So they are still very active, especially in terms of the medical professions, which is really nice to see. I did want to say there were a couple of kind of interesting developments this past meeting. Ambassador High School, which some of us know, is a faith-based high school that actually was begun by a past principal in our school district, Dr. Barker, that has been operating out of the soccer facility over by City Hall. Well, they've kind of lost their lease on that location, and we're looking for a new location. So, as of July 1st, 2020, they will be located at SoCal Rock and using classrooms there.
Are they a charter school?
They are not a charter school.
Okay, good.
They are faith-based, yes. And that's actually provides them with really nice classroom space. At their current location, they can't go outside with the kids, but they can use the entire soccer facility for sports opportunities. But this way, they'll have some outside space and perhaps more room to breathe for their about 90 students now, and they're hoping to build up their number of students. But it also brings about $150,000, $160,000 worth of revenue to SoCal Rock. So that was actually a win-win for both organizations, and I was happy to see that. And it was impressive because almost, well, I would say probably half of the students and half of the parents that are part of Ambassador actually came to the board meeting to encourage us to allow them to be at SoCal Rock. So that was kind of neat that they had such a presence. So that was one. And the second thing is, and I bring this up just because I wanted to know if anybody had heard of this, is PVNet Education and Technology Center. Has anybody in this room heard of PVNet?
Yeah.
You have? Okay. Well, they're interested in trying to partner with SoCal Rock. And
Given the look on Mrs., on
I-
Dr. Crumpy's face, you may want to follow up on this.
well, and actually, Dr. Mannon and I were discussing it, and I said I needed to know if there was someone who did know them, which it's kind of odd that, having been active in education for 25 years in the area, I've never heard of them. But the gentleman running the place, it is a nonprofit, and they are trying to provide educational opportunities in especially technology and science-oriented things. And they are, again, sort of courting SoCal Rock to partner with them. So I'd be interested to talk with you about what you think of it, and
Or
you
talk
might
to
want to talk to...
Mr. Hahn.
Yes, talk to her about, because I believe they will be coming forward with a proposal to be able to do that. So that's in the offing, let's put it that way. And besides that, there were some ins and outs of people already, because there were some reorganization meetings prior to the SoCal Rock meeting, so you'll be in good company being sworn in with new people probably in January. And it will require that. I do have the meeting dates that I will pass along to you, so that you have that available to use. And we will let SoCal Rock know that we have a new representative. I let them know I might not be continuing in representing. I did have a few other announcements that I wanted to make, and then I'll have other folks give their input. But I wanted to identify classified employees that have completed years of accredited service, and they have had their anniversary increments in the past period. For 10 years of accredited service, we have Teresa Cordova. For 15 years of accredited service, we have Maisha Allams, Corazon Anderson, Lauren Bahamaka, Tresia Belfison, Andre Cruz, Rosa Garduna, Susanna Kayla, Jacqueline Paleo, Maria Segoviano, Marilyn Villalon, and Lisa Vincent. And for 20 years of service, we have Rupinder Gill, Kathleen Hagan, Diana Neese, Violetta Pulita, and Sherry Weissman. And thank you all for serving our students and our schools and keeping things running smoothly. So that's all I have, and I'm happy to have anybody else comment. Anybody want to? Mr. Hahn?
Just a couple things. First of all, I want to thank Dawn for being president for the past year.
Yay.
Again, good job.
Yay.
I'm not sure we've ever had more entertaining board meetings ever again.
That's true.
Thank you for the laughter and the joy. And
That's
I look forward
true.
to Terry.
That's true.
Congratulations, and
Sure.
looking forward to you leading us this coming year and show a total different type of leadership. But
Can I
looking forward
hand
to
this
it.
over to
Yeah,
you, the
already
agenda?
handing you
Yes,
the
it's
work.
all
This
yours.
sounds Great. But at the same time, I also want to congratulate South High football team. Hey, it was.
Oh,
I know,
yeah.
we were at our board party and we were still watching it on the phone. Right?
Yeah.
That's right. Cheering for you guys, but no matter what happened, we're proud of you guys, and so we want to congratulate everyone at South High. What a run!
Yes.
And so not now, but someday. Someday is going to come. So, but congratulations to the guys at South High. At the same time, I also want to acknowledge South High had a musical, Legally Blonde. Excellent. I had the privilege of going to see one of my friend's daughters there. It was a great program, so I want to say South. That was a very wonderful musical. I want to give a shout out to South High for that musical as well. And last but not least, I want to wish all of you wonderful, happy holidays, and that it will be a restful and relaxing time with friends and family.
Yay, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Gerson?
First, I want to say congratulations, Dr. Egan.
Yay.
We're very proud of you, and I know how hard it is. I also want to talk, four of us attended the California School Boards Association Annual Education Conference. I want to commend Dr. Stowe on a great presentation to everyone, and the warm-up act, Don Lee. Always fun. While I was there were many great sessions, but one of the ones that I attended, one of the ones I liked the most was dual language immersion. It was what school board members need to implement successful DLI programs. I know I've heard a lot from parents, and I think a couple other people have also talked, board members have talked about parents. Now I am more prepared to have those conversations with parents who are interested in that, so feel free to get in touch with me. We've done so many things since the last board meeting, and 3 different groups who've just given and donated a lot to our schools. Of course, we already heard this evening from TEF and the STEM Initiatives grants, but we attended the Rotary Club, and their goal was to give $4,000 to each high school, which I think they did, right?
Yes.
And we went to a YMCA presentation today where they talked about different programs, but one of which was showing how much they donate to our students just based on schools, which was hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so it's just really thankful and appreciative for all these organizations who are helping to support our mission. And since you complimented South High, I have to tell you, I have to compliment North High. Drove out to Palmdale to watch an amazing game that started at 34 degrees.
In the snow?
It was raining, and then it hailed, and it rained, and it hailed, and it rained, and then it did begin to snow for a couple minutes. And I can't wait till we recognize them, because the growth that I watched over the course of that game was really amazing. And I also want to wish everyone happy holidays and a safe New Year. Thank you.
Madam President, may I have a moment?
Certainly. Dr. Manning.
I want you to go last.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then Mr. Lee.
Mr. Lee.
Not paying attention to the lights.
I was, but I thought he wanted to speak to what Jeremy said.
You can speak to what he's.
No, go right ahead.
Couple of things. Torrance High football coach retired after many, many years, Rock Hollis. I went to his last game. That was, in fact, I think Jeremy was there. Mrs. Reagans was there. And it was a lovely time. It was the outpouring after 25 plus years of being involved in that program. In fact, I always tease Rock that he was the varsity star football player when I was a lowly freshman, and he looked like a god to me at that point. But that was long blonde hair, and it was kind of cool for 1971. Long before everybody else on this board was born, except for maybe one. But anyway, so that's going on. I will enjoy sitting over here on the end. This will be very nice for my last 12 months or so. And then the other thing was, again, enjoyed being president of the board, and I thought about this coming in today. This is my 20th year as an elected official over a span of 27 years, so at least I didn't do it all in a row. I'd probably be nuts. But anyway, so that was just kind of a random thought, and it'll be time for tacos pretty quick, so good.
Okay. Well, thank you, sir. And now.
Oh, well, thank you, Ms.
Actually,
Lee.
one more
Lady
thing.
first.
Mrs. Liu had something to say.
I don't have much. It's been said by my fellow board members. First, I want to thank Dawn for your leadership this last year. And Terry, I look forward to working with you for this coming one. I'm very excited to hear that Dr. Egan got his doctorate degree as a big achievement, obviously, and so congratulations. And just want to wish everyone out there a happy, healthy, and safe holiday season. Thank you. See you next year.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for your patience, Dr. Manning.
Oh, absolutely.
Now
Thank
it's
you,
your turn.
Mrs. Reagans. Mr. Gerson, I just was going to respond. Dr. Egan has taken the oath. You know, once you receive a doctorate, and that oath is he can no longer use a 1 or 2 syllable word when you can use a 4 or 5 syllable word. And he has agreed to that, so that's a requirement. I want to thank the board. I have been honored to be the superintendent in the Torrance Unified School District for 14 and a half years now. I did inform the board today that it is my intent to retire on June 30th of 2020. I want to thank all of my former board members our cabinet members, all of our administrators, our teachers who have worked with all of us. Julie Schenkel's here tonight. Julie and I have done a lot of projects over that last 14-and-a-half-year period of time. Our classified personnel. And one of the things in coming to this district, which I think is a real distinctive piece for anyone to know about Torrance is, and this was told to me by at least 3 people before I even decided to apply here, is that Torrance has great parents. And we really do. And I think sometimes we don't always, process that very well, but we have great parents. And I want to thank all of those different groups and people who worked with me over 14-and-a-half years. Mr. Lee, who quite frankly was my first friend in Torrance, because he wanted to get out of a meeting.
Sounds right.
Which is a true story with that. But quite frankly, I'm not always sure that everyone understands the great difficulty that we went through in passing 4 bond measures in this district. And a lot of that had to do with civic leaders. Mr. Lee, who stood up and ran a couple of elections and actually knew exactly what he was doing to win those elections. So I'm grateful to all of our board members and our staff members. So thank you very much for 14 and a half years and hopefully successful 6 more months. Thank you.
Well,
Motion to adjourn.
with a heavy heart.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
There'll be more later.